You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hey there, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Catholic Chicago and segments that we call Catholic Schools Today, where we like to throw the spotlight on some of the great things that are happening at the schools of the Archdiocese of Chicago. I'm Vince Girasoli, and I'm the Director of Multimedia Content here at the Archdiocese. Let's talk just a little bit about education. Our kids are back in school now. Everyone is worried about backpacks and do they have the right jackets on? And boy, we've had warm weather, cold weather. Don't really know how to get everyone ready for school as a parent, get everyone dressed there. But it's just lovely to have to deal with those after so many years when we were also dealing with the pandemic and getting the kids into the school safely. And would there be virtual learning? Would there not be virtual learning? Was everybody getting the most out of education at the time? It's nice to know that those days are in the rearview mirror. But if I take you back just to 2 years ago, we were wondering how our students all over the country were going to be doing and emerge from the pandemic. And here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, we were quite proud because we got students back in the classroom with the appropriate precautions. And when we looked at the test scores, the students had done extremely well. There was actually growth, and that sort of bucked the trend nationwide. And we were able to get actually national attention for how well our schools were doing at that point. Okay, we've emerged from that part of our history. Everyone's back in school. The testing continues because, kids go to school and we measure how well they're doing. And the schools of the Archdiocese continue to do well. But there's an especially sweet success story happening at St. Anne's School in Barrington, because we're going to talk about their reading scores, but they really are significant. And in order to do that, we've got to talk to the folks who get that school in motion up there, the principal and the assistant principal. So I'm going to welcome to the program right now Dawn Kapka. She's the principal at St. Anne's School in Barrington, and Kathy Diogardi. She's the assistant principal. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us, Vince.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Okay, so we are here to talk about this impressive growth you've had in your reading scores. I'm going to let you reveal the magic number. What are you noticing on your reading scores?
Well, as principal, I'm delighted to say that our students, while the Archdiocese of Chicago, they have an expectation that 75% of the students at each of the Catholic schools will achieve the annual typical growth in their iReady reading and math scores by 2024-25. And we at St. Anne, we have exceeded that 75 percentile. We are at 82% in reading. So we're really delighted and proud of the great work, first and foremost, that our teachers are doing, and right there next to them, our students at St. Anne Parish School.
Yeah, this all doesn't happen by accident. So if you can walk me through what you think, as the folks driving the bus at the school, what you think led to this growth and to these stats.
Well, first and foremost, it's teamwork. There's nothing that I do in isolation, honestly. It is the great work of our team as administrators, along with the wonderful support of our pastor, Father Bernie Peterzak, and all of our faculty and staff members that work tirelessly every single day to help our little people to our big people. So we have preschool 3-year-olds all the way through 8th grade in our building. And we work really hard individually and collectively to try to help them be the best little person they can be in the classroom and outside.
Sure, but individually, what's the reading program like? Like, what is it that you're doing that you think contributed to this? Yes, you're working as a community and supporting one another, but what specifically about your reading program do you think is helping to prepare students?
If I may add, and then I'm going to have Mrs. D kind of talk specifically about the program, but we really do our best to individualize our instruction. And we are blessed, while we're a part of a large organization, we can pick programs that meet the needs of our clientele. And that has been really important. So Kathy, along with the teachers, over the last few years, have identified areas in need of improvement, and we've done that in reading and in math. And then we hone in on that specific subject area and really cater to the individual needs. So we don't really look at mean scores while we celebrate them. We really look at individual scores.
So what does what does reading look like at the first grade level? What are the goals that you have at that level?
So starting actually in kindergarten, we have a fundamentals program called CKLA. So that program is teaching the kids phonemic awareness, phonics, blending, segmenting, and the precursors to reading. So we start there. By the time they're about, I don't know, January, halfway through kindergarten, they are reading. Okay, they have learned enough sounds to be able to blend some very basic 3 and 4 letter words. We continue to build on that foundational skills program through second grade. So as we like to say, they are learning to read through those years. Then when we get to third grade, we're kind of switching over to reading to learn. So we know the fundamentals of reading, and now we're using those skills to actually increase our learning. And the program that we chose to help us to do that is called Wit and Wisdom. So that's a very specific knowledge building program that everyone is saturated with information on a certain topic, and they're learning about that topic. They're learning to write about that topic. They're taking all the skills that they learned and putting them together to continue their learning. So those are the 2 programs that we're using. In addition, we do have iReady, which was a program that the Archdiocese brought into the schools. And that is where the personalized education comes in. So iReady, you take a diagnostic at the beginning of the year. It places you at a certain point and then personalizes your lessons for the remainder of the year based on these diagnostics. So there's 3 diagnostics throughout the year. So you'll work through the first one, you'll get the lessons, you'll be learning and growing. The second diagnostic, hopefully you've jumped up to a certain point. That's that typical annual growth that you heard Mrs. Kapka speak about. So they gauge what you should be getting to by the end of the year, and through the year, how close you're getting to that goal.
You know, maybe you could answer a question for me when it comes to reading. You know, we complain so much about how students' noses can be buried in their tablets or in their phones. And then you can also hear the flip side is that it's also a learning tool. How do you see reading being encouraged with electronic devices? Is it an assist, or can it get in the way?
If I may add, I believe it's an assist. One thing I love about the Wit and Wisdom program that Mrs. Diagardi mentioned, the children are reading rich literature. And while we do focus on the phonemic awareness component in the early years, they also have experiences with Wit and Wisdom. So it's almost 2 roads to the same end, making sure that they're exposed to rich vocabulary and wonderful material, wonderful text. So we do use technology. There's no question about it. We have Chromebooks where the children are one-on-one with devices as early as kindergarten all the way through their 8th grade year. But we use them more as assists in reading than as the primary tool.
How does your school library fit into all of this? Because yes, you encourage people read to learn. This is part of your curriculum, but you also like to see kids venturing into the library or into different areas where they can actually pick out a book and read it on their own, something that maybe is inspired by the curriculum but not required by the curriculum.
We are so blessed. As I said earlier on, it takes a village, it takes a team. We have a wonderful library resource teacher that was a former first grade teacher here at St. Anne that we pulled back out of retirement, and she is using her God-given gifts in our library in beautiful, beautiful ways, and that's Mrs. Fran Peters. And that is truly my favorite room in this entire school. And I would have to believe that it's many. It's beautiful, filled with books and rich literature across all ages. So we never, ever abandoned books at our school.
The iReady gives each child a just right reading level. So the teachers use that level to help the children, and as Mrs. Peters would as well, pick out a just right book for them. Independent reading time is in every grade level. And in the middle school, they are actually doing a book report and projects based on that independent reading book throughout the year, different projects, different genres.
Tell me
in an effort to help them build their foundational skills and build off of their skills, it's really important that we are teaching them at an instructional level, but they're able to read for enjoyment at an independent level to help to cultivate that love for reading, love for learning, and then hopefully build on those skills.
For those of us who haven't been lucky enough to visit your school, tell me a little bit more about St. Anne, how many students are there, and sort of what the environment's like.
We have about 290 students in preschool 3 all the way through 8th grade. We have a beautiful, beautiful footprint. It's a relatively large campus connected right to a gorgeous church, St. Anne Catholic Community. And we call ourselves a parish school. We're very, very blessed because we have the great support, as I mentioned, of our pastor, Father Bernie, and the parishioners of St. Anne that help to support the students here with an annual scholarship, honestly, that everyone gets if they attend our school. And I would have to say that we are a school that really, if you were to walk through our building, it would become, I believe, very quickly, very apparent that we are identifiably Catholic. And that, while we're very, very proud of our academic excellence, no doubt, we are extremely proud of our faith-based education and the fact that every day we can share our gifts as educators and hopefully serve the Lord and one another by working in this role. And our teachers could be working anywhere, and they're here. So it's a beautiful, warm, welcoming climate.
How many students do you have at the school?
290.
And, every school has its big event or big events. What are the big events that happen at the school every year?
I feel like we have a big event every week. Yeah.
A Christmas program that we put on every year is a big undertaking because it incorporates all of the grades K through 8. And we have smaller events all the year,
time.
Cultural events, Halloween events.
Trunk or treat tomorrow night. I mean, truly, we are blessed. We have a wonderful partnership with our parents, and they work so hard to try to make sure that our children have what they need so that they can really enjoy their experiences here. So we have Special Persons Day that will be taking place this year, formerly known as Grandparents' Day. So we have a lot of really wonderful...
A lot of charity events.
Yes.
The kids are constantly bringing in canned food or donations for either something local or something more national as far as sharing their gifts and their treasures with others.
Well, it sounds like
them early on that they that we want to help them to become servant leaders. And so that's to Mrs. Diagardi's point. They learn at a very early age that they can make a difference in the lives of others, and they do so beautifully.
So well said. I want to thank you for joining us today, and kudos for all the great things that are happening at St. Anne, and it's showing in the test scores, if you didn't already know it. So thank you very much, Dawn Kapka, principal, and Kathy Diagardi, who the assistant principal at St. Anne. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for joining us on our stream and on the radio. We always have more information on Catholic schools right here. So be sure to continue streaming, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and continue to listen to us here on the radio, WNDZ. I'm Vince Girasoli. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you.